All right, so today's video we're talking about image stabilization on the DJI FPV drone. Do you actually need it? One of the most prestigious things you can do is when your skill really refines is to turn off HYPERSMOOTH on your GoPros. Some of the best pilots in the world do this. Nurk's notorious for this, Alex Vanover's notorious for this, Ledrib doesn't use any sort of stabilization, and Joshua Bardwell has encouraged you to showcase your footage for what it really is without the need of any stabilization. So my question is, if you use the FPV drone, is stabilization required because of that one-axis gimbal that's dampened? Well, we're gonna do a comparison today, so let's get started. Alrighty, so first off, before we start this video, thank you to everybody who's recently subscribed to the channel, enjoying the DJI FPV content. I know I've been cranking out a lot of it, but there's so much to talk about with this drone. I wanna make sure that you have all the facts when you think or consider buying this drone. So today we're gonna test the image stabilization on and off. I'm gonna show you the differences, why you're probably gonna wanna use image stabilization. I'll also do a comparison with the Hero 8 with my personal rig to show you the difference between, a built quad without stabilization and with stabilization, so you can really understand and appreciate the difference between building and buying something like the FPV drone. So we're gonna start off with the FPV drone first, no stabilization. Then we'll flip over to my built quad. This is the one I had tuned by Crunked. It's running beta flight, and that's not gonna have any stabilization. And then we'll do a flight with the FPV drone with stabilization, and then we'll end it with the built quad, the Crunked beta flight build with stabilization on the Hero 8. And then what we'll do to end it all, we'll go back into the office and do a final flight analysis between all 4 flights, and I'll give you my opinions and thoughts on this. All right, let's get started. Degrees tilt. I'm gonna try to run this test like sort of similarly. So I'm just try to fly as smooth as I can. We'll see what a roll looks like. Okay. We'll come up here to these trees. And we're passing back by us. Get a little tick-tock action going. Tick-tocks will typically generate a little bit of vibration, but I've never noticed that to be an issue. Little backflip here. Nothing crazy, just trying to keep it, what you would normally see. All right, let's get a little lower. All right, I think that was good. So we're gonna take the same route. It's a little windy. I don't know, how'd that look? I have no idea. Little backflip. Feels really good though. Gosh, this feels great. All right, let's bring it in. All right, so now we're gonna fly the same route with image stabilization turned on. trying to run the route as best as I can, 1-to-1. You can see the wind's probably playing a big factor right now. Trying to just see what image stabilization does with some flips and rolls. All right, I think that's good. We'll bring it in. Start recording. All right, should have enough battery to do another pass here. All right, so this is now with HYPERSMOOTH just to see the difference. A little bit of washout right there, just that slight vibration, but otherwise that's exceptional. Alrighty, so looking over the footage here, I'm gonna give you my sort of post-flight analysis of everything, and I will tell you straight out of the gate that the crunked, tuned Apex build just destroyed the FPV drone as far as overall stabilization goes. Like, if you want the best possible image and you don't plan on using any sort of stabilization, the FPV drone is just not going to be for you. You can get a crazy smooth image with a GoPro and your own build, and that's to be expected. But with the FPV drone, stabilization is almost going to be mandatory. Now, a lot of pilots love to turn stabilization off. I'm included. I'd love to see how smooth I am flying. There's nothing more gratifying and satisfying than seeing a flight that you know that there was no stabilization on and it looks like there was HYPERSMOOTH. It's just an amazing feeling knowing that you're flying that smooth. But unfortunately, with the FPV drone, it doesn't matter how smooth you fly. There's just way too many micro jitters happening because, again, that gimbal is dampened ever so slightly. So there is some vibrations that I noticed translate into the gimbal. And without the electronic image stabilization, there's no way to really tune those out of the camera, unfortunately. Now, one thing cool about building your own drone is the fact that you have a lot of options. So I can turn stabilization off on the camera, or I can turn stabilization on. And if I leave stabilization off and I get everything back to the office and I deem that the flight just wasn't smooth enough, I can go ahead and throw it through Real Steady and just really smooth out some of those micro jitters like I did here. You can see this is just running Real Steady on the lowest settings, and it looks actually really, really solid. And it just sort of adds just sort of like a little bit of an enhancement to the flight footage. Now, to be fair, when I sent this quad to Crunk to tune, it was not flying this good. I sent it to him. I paid him to tune this quad. It's running Betaflight 4.3, and holy shit, it flies amazing. It flies amazing. Is it flying as good as my KISS builds? No, but it's pretty damn good for Betaflight. And if you don't know what you're doing with tuning and you want to be able to get a quad flying just like this, I would highly recommend that you check out his website and talk to him about his different options for tuning your quad. You can send it to him, or you can do what they call the perfect flight, where you can send data logs and he can work with you back and forth on recommendations on changing different things to get your quad flying this smooth. I didn't have that option. Unfortunately, there was no logger on my flight controller, so I had to send it to him. And I'm really glad I did, because this thing is flying absolutely amazing. And it's just super, super consistent. And that's what's really important. And this is why I'm talking about the tune, because when you turn off image stabilization on the DJI drone, really all of its flaws are front and center. There's nothing masking the fact that there is crazy washout when I go into a hard turn. You get like these shudders. And I know I keep using that term, but I really haven't explained it to people that are like, what is prop wash? What is washout? Well, generally what happens is it creates like an oscillation in the airflow. I don't know the exact dynamics of it. It's just something you can almost feel, but you don't really feel it in the sticks. You can see it in your footage, like you get this vibration during hard maneuvers. So if I do like a really hard S turn, that generates it typically with the DJI drone. And the fact that the props and everything is just sort of underpowered, it will amplify that. But when you have the electronic image stabilization on, it's almost unnoticeable. And the reality is the vast majority of people that are buying this aren't going to notice those issues. The super critical people that do notice it probably shouldn't be buying this anyways, because we can build our own quad anyhow. But these are just some things to definitely consider when purchasing this quad. But I will just say, just from this comparison, yeah, you're going to want to keep image stabilization on. I thought you can get away with it off, but unless if it's a super smooth, non-windy day, stabilization's on, unfortunately. But hopefully this gives you some insight, and it's pretty interesting to see what it looks like on and off, and along with real steady on the Hero 8. I want to go ahead and thank Crunked for going ahead and tuning that quad for me. I don't know why I'm thanking you. I paid you. But if you are interested in getting your quad tuned, I will leave a link in the description below. Not sponsored or anything. I just find it really interesting, the fact that the hardest thing I struggled with, there's services available to make it easier if you don't want to go through and do all the research for yourself. So I'll leave a link to his channel, his website, where you can reach out to him and schedule a consultation. That's gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, stay original.
What can you see around? Wind of the open sky, over the siren sound. This is a dream, getting the royal sky.